Hi, I'm Zach, and this is Challenger Vedic Astrology and Tarot. Welcome to the channel. So, today we're talking about Cusp Nakshatras, what they are, and how to use them when you're looking at a birth chart. So, if you like my videos, be sure to like and subscribe. To be notified whenever I put out a new video, be sure to hit the bell icon and select all. It really helps out me and the channel. And if you'd like a Vedic Sidereal birth chart, a personal tarot reading, or an astrology consultation, links to those will be in the description box and the comments below. Okay, so, Cusp Nakshatras. The way you see these is you take the ascendant degrees of a chart, and you're going to use those same degrees for every single house in the chart. Now, we're going to look at a simple Prashna chart of the moment, and see how we do this. But I just want to remind you all, this is Vedic Sidereal Astrology. So make sure you're not, mixing Western tropical astrology with it. I always look at charts through a Vedic Sidereal perspective. I do use outer planets, but they are usually the last thing that I use. Because Vedic Sidereal Astrology went without using them for so long that they honestly aren't really needed. They just add some extra detail. But we're going to get into Cusp Nakshatras, so let's dig in. Okay, so here we have our Vedic Sidereal birth chart. Now, what we're looking for are the ascendant degrees. So in this North Indian style Vedic Sidereal birth chart, AS is the ascendant. The degrees, 4 degrees, 49 arc minutes. That puts this ascendant in Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra. Okay, so we already see that this person's life is going to be tied to the themes of Uttara Phalguni. So, Uttara Phalguni is tied to obsessive compulsive tendencies, OCD or OCPD. Marriage, relationships, commitment will be very significant in this person's life. But Uttara Phalguni takes place in Virgo. Virgo is all about work. Uttara Phalguni is tied to paperwork. It's tied to fighting as well. Virgo is tied to fighting. So we also see this person would get into fights when it comes to relationships. They're going to have to do battle when it comes to their work. That could be a legal matter. But that's talking about the ascendant nakshatra. So how do we tie that into cusp nakshatras? Well, you're going to use the same degrees. 4 degrees, 49 arc minutes for every single house in the chart. I believe I've mentioned this before in a nakshatra video, but now I'm showing you all how to use it. So, let's take the second house. Second house is family. Second house is finances. The ascendant degrees are 4 degrees and 49 arc minutes. So now, you look at those same degrees in the sign of Libra. You look at what nakshatra that would be. So, 4 degrees, 49 arc minutes becomes Chitra Nakshatra. Okay, so Chitra is a nakshatra of accounting and finance, naturally. So we see this person will be very calculating when it comes to money. Don't forget, they're a Virgo ascendant. So this makes complete sense. Virgo is a sign of work, calculation. So that becomes the cusp of the second house of earnings and finance. This person could make money through healthcare. They could make money through banking, dealing with other people's money. The sign of business, Libra, is now in the second house of earnings. So this person could have business tied to finances. It could be in the finance industry, banking. But they could also earn their money through craftsmanship. Chitra is tied to art, crafting. But what do we also see about this person's family? Their family would be like Chitra. Their family members would be very calculating. They'd be very good with money. They would be creative, artistic. Now that's just looking at the second house. Now we look at the same degrees, 4 degrees, 49 arc minutes for the third house. So that puts it in Anuradha Nakshatra. So we see younger sibling would be very friendly. Younger sibling would be a trendsetter. Younger sibling would often deal with plumbing issues. Same thing with neighbors. Anuradha is tied to these things. Younger sibling would be prone to car accidents. Younger sibling would have a lot of friends that would be very close to them to the point of being like family. But they would also have a lot of karmic friendships with friends that would betray them. This is what Anuradha is tied to. We also see this person would put a lot of effort into making friends, into making binding agreements. This is what Anuradha is tied to. If they were to write, these would be the themes that they would write about. Now, the fourth house. Once again, we look at 4 degrees, 49 arc minutes of Sagittarius. So that becomes Mula. Okay, so Mula Nakshatra is now controlling the fourth house. Note, we're not even looking at planets when we look at this. We're not looking at the nakshatra that the planet's in. But we see Mula is the cusp of the fourth house. Everything tied to home, tied to vehicles, tied to mother. Tied to this person's comfort and happiness would be tied to Mula Nakshatra. So this person would want to do a lot of research at home. This person would uproot their home. Mula is tied to the roots, pulling up the roots to dig deep. So we see this person would move. Pretty often. They would likely move to a far off place because it's Sagittarius. Long distance travel, pilgrimage. Mother would be into research or into gardening because Mula is tied to plants. They would have a home at some point that is tied to their ancestry or that is very old because Mula is the past. But their mother would be highly destructive because Mula is a very destructive nakshatra. Mother's like Kali, destroying everything. Now, the fifth house. Fifth house is children, but primarily the first child. 4 degrees, 49 arc minutes of Capricorn. So, that's Uttarashada. Uttarashada is tied to the later victory. It's tied to writing long epics. So, this person's child could be a writer. And if they wrote, they would write these long forms of writing. If they were to text, they're the person that texts you a whole page. Needs a TLDR. But it also shows their first child would have to fight a lot of battles in life. A very long battle. They wouldn't have victory until later in life. That's when this person's first child would be successful. This person's creativity would be tied to battles, tied to war. Also, their first child would either not be religious or would be competitive or combative with gods. That means they could be atheist, they could be agnostic. Now, that's how we look at these cusp nakshatras. But you also use the planet, the planetary ruler. So, fifth lord in the sixth house, Saturn in Purva Bhadrapada. So you'd also look at what Saturn's showing. And that'll tell you about this person's first child too. You look at both to get the full picture. But now, you're also going to look at... One second. Here we go. On the left, we have the birth chart. On the right, we have the D9 Navamsa chart. Person's later life. If you want to see what this person's life will be like as it goes on, now you look at Cusp Nakshatras in the Navamsa chart. So, 13 degrees, 21 arc minutes. This person's life becomes like Satyabisha as they get older. Person could be an astrologer. Person could be a criminal. Satyabisha is tied to crime. Person could be a spy. Person could be insecurity. This is what Satyabisha is tied to. But then, for the second house, you would look, okay, when it comes to this person's family and finances, you're looking at 13 degrees, 21 arc minutes of Pisces. And that would become Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra. So, Uttara Bhadrapada is also tied to crime. So, if this person was a criminal, makes sense they would earn their money through criminal acts. But, I'm just pointing out that you use both the birth chart and the Navamsa chart to get the full picture of the person's life. Alright, but yeah, that's how you use Cusp Nakshatras. And honestly, you could do this for every divisional chart. But if we're talking about just the person's life, if you want to know about them and their family members, their ability to have relationships, what their children will be like, what their career will be like, you use these Cusp Nakshatras in tandem with the planet, the House Lord's Nakshatras, the planet's Nakshatras. And you use those ascendant degrees as the cusp of each house. Now, that doesn't mean each house still isn't that set 30 degrees. But the heart of that house becomes that cusp nakshatra. Alright, but I just thought this was very important to teach y'all, especially before our next video, where I tell you all how to look at someone's life purpose. And if you've liked this video, be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out me in the channel. And be sure to hit the bell icon to be notified whenever I put out a new video. Select all. And if you'd like a Vedic Sidereal birth chart, a personal tarot reading, or an astrology consultation, links to those will be in the description box and the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.